Hello. Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone see the Bitcoin chart, hear the music? Awesome. So we're gonna be waiting a couple minutes so some people can join, then we'll get started. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Pretty clean plans for Bitcoin. Just entered the long this morning, so let's talk about that, and then maybe we'll cover some altcoins, some requests at the end, and see from there. Hello, sir. Masum. I'm doing good, thanks. How about you? Sandeep, Sabo, McTony's, Matt, welcome. Stream buffering. It should be good. Not sure. All right. $50 people. Awesome. Good to see. So let's get started. The stream will be recorded as always, so you will be able to rewatch later on if you want to. If you're enjoying the stream, feel free to leave a like. That helps me to grow on YouTube. Subscribe, of course. Still going for 10k subs. And thanks to Blowfin for sponsoring. If you want to try out Blowfin, where you can trade all different kinds of altcoins and Bitcoin, of course, I have a link in the description which you can use. If you use that link, you also get access to my Discord, where I post more analysis. We have channels where we can talk, where I post all of my trades live. Trading a public account at the moment. And yeah, where we just can hang out. As well, you can get a nice deposit bonus on Blowfin. So if you have any questions, just DM me on Discord or on Twitter, and then we'll see. All right, so now that that's been said, let's dive straight into the charts, starting off with Bitcoin. So ever since we swept these highs right here, we said that we were cautious, right? Liquidity had been taken at all-time highs, and the rejection is not something you wanted to see after sweeping all-time highs. Okay, whenever you get an all-time high breakout, you want to see price just run away from prior highs. If you see a sweep and an ugly rejection, that often means that it was just a stop hunt to grab liquidity above the highs, and at that point your draw on liquidity becomes towards the opposite side of the range, which were these lows at that moment. So ever since we traded there, right, and we got rejected heavily, what did we say? Good chance that we were going for these lows next. Okay, purely based on liquidity, high swept, ugly rejection, clean risk reward for shorts, targeting these lows. Now lows had been taken on this move. What did we say? Well, ever since we traded in this sort of straight downwards momentum, we said we wanted to see a pretty aggressive sweep of these lows, just like we saw right here, in order for us to look for longs again and see what we could do from there. Not necessarily target all-time highs straight away, but at least look for a sweep of the lows that leads to a bounce, targeting range mean and some local highs right there. So what did we end up doing on this move, right? We did sweep the lows, but barely. Whenever you see a sweep like this, it's always good to be cautious. The more aggressive the sweep, and to be honest, the lower we go below the lows, the more aggressive the bounce is going to be, and the more likely that we are going to see continuation to the upside. But in this case, as you can see, barely swept the lows, got a really nice bounce. But from that bounce, what did we say? Well, still time to be cautious. Why? Barely swept the lows, still range mean resistance. Everyone was freaking bullish again, targeting all-time highs. Everyone was talking about Ethereum that was pumping to all-time highs. So time to be cautious, and as you can see, reverse this entire pump, and now we are trading pretty deep below these range lows here. Now, the question I get asked a lot is what confirms that this would be a sweep that leads to reclaim and higher prices, or what confirms that this move right here is a breakdown below the range that leads to continuation to the downside. And for me, it's all about context and using the higher time frames as well to see where we're trading at, to use the higher time frame candles, see how they look if you have a long wick to the upside, if you have a long wick to the downside, and use that information to use on the lower time frames, right? And if you combine as many things as possible, for example, that right here, this is considered key support. This is considered an area where there was going to be a lot of liquidity still resting. Why? Because people who longed here had their stops below there. People who longed here and didn't get stopped out yet also had their stops right there. So all of the people looking for a move higher from here got stopped out. That liquidity got taken. Everyone is targeting the lows again. I'm not sure if you saw my post about my long this morning, but the replies were pretty damn bearish, saying there's no way, blah blah blah. We're going sub 100k, like it's classic. So combining all of that, in my opinion, gives me a pretty safe trade, at least targeting our weekly high and Monday high. Of course, we can always be wrong. That's the game we play. But if the risk reward is there, right, and you have an ID, you have a plan, it's up to the market and whatever the market wants to do. Now, another reason why I think that this could be the move below the lows that leads to higher prices is because of the look of the weekly. Remember what I just said about using the higher time frames and looking how they look, and using that information on the lower time frames as for entries and stuff. So let me quickly remove these. What do we see on the weekly? What was prior resistance on the weekly right here? As we wicked above there, rejected, resistance, and then once we broke above, huge pump. Now coming into that area again, right? Weekly support, and from the weekly open, we opened the candle and straight up nuked, right? We always want to assume that a candle, at least on the weekly, is the most effective, is going to have a wick to the upside and the wick to the downside. It's still early in the week, it's only Tuesday, so assuming that we're gonna have a bigger wick to the upside, right? That would mean that we're currently creating the lower wick on the weekly candle, and we still have to go create the higher wick from here. All right, so using that information that we want to see higher prices, combining that with the daily time frame or a 12-hour time frame, doesn't really matter. You have a pretty solid plan, in my opinion, using the Monday range as well. Monday low already got swept. Possibly we go for these lows, for example. Again, that's why I kept my stops right there. But possibly we go for another sweep. But the general idea is that I'm looking for a bounce in this area that leads to a move at least towards Monday high and that weekly high, right? Flat top. It's not really a flat top, but we barely have a wick to the upside on the weekly, right? And that's the area that we're targeting first. From there, we'll see, right? If we sweep that liquidity and instantly reject heavily, right? That wouldn't be a good sign. At that point, possibly this whole move can be considered as a sweep above these highs. And at that point, it's more likely, in my opinion, that we go for these lows right here next, around 100k, possibly this low again as well. But in my opinion, way too early to talk about these lows if we haven't even seen a clean break below this weekly level. All right, so that's why, so combining all of that information is why I entered this long this morning, right? Invalidation, keeping it right there. Why? As I could see another local sweep of the lows before we see the move towards Monday high. I could see some ranging, classic, right? Let people FOMO in to shorts, right? That think that we're gonna nuke to 100k, and from there we see the aggressive bounce at least towards Monday high. So that's what I'm seeing at the moment. So from here, game plan for me, as I said, I'm in longs, I'm wrong below there. Let's say we go for a sweep. As long as we consolidate here, I think the move towards Monday high is coming. Obviously, if we do this, close down here, then likely we'll see straight continuation to the downside. Then I'll sit out and wait until something else presents itself. If we bounce from here, of course, happy days. I will definitely take some profit above Monday high, and from there we'll see. If we see strength and a close above here, then I could see us move towards liquidity above all of these highs. I still think there's gonna be clean liquidity resting around 117 towards 120k. Those clean highs right there. But we'll see. If we close strong above Monday high, probably towards there, take more profit there. If not, and we reject and break below Monday high, then I'll be fully out of longs. All right, so why is this area important to me? I think if there's a place where we want to put in a lower high that leads to significantly lower prices towards here, I think it will be on a huge trap and something like this, where they let everyone FOMO in again and then they slam it back down and really go for the lows from there. So that scenario would make sense to me. So definitely an area to keep an eye on. Also, in situations like this, ask yourself where is going to be the highest risk reward for bears if they want to look for swing shorts, and that's going to be in this area, right? Because then you simply can have your stops above the high. These are already stops that got taken, so if these would have been equal highs, for example, or we wouldn't have seen an aggressive sweep like this, then at that point we would have a higher probability of just going for all-time highs. But since we already took the highs here, that would definitely be a scenario that I could see happening. All right. Is that clear for everyone? Bitcoin. El Romano, what's up, man? Good to see you. Weekly looks like 110k double top to 76k. Let's see. I mean, I do agree, and that's why I said that I was definitely cautious on this sweep, as that wasn't a nice candle. But we have seen quite a bit of downside already. So I personally don't think that we just keep dumping from here straight towards, yeah, you're targeting all the way down here. That's quite far off. But then, as I said, it would make more sense, in my opinion, to see a bounce from here, at least take Monday high and then continue the dump from there. And not just straight down from here. Do you think the move from 112k to 180k, 18k was a move to take the short liquidity short squeeze? 112 to 118. Yeah, you mean this one? Possibly, yeah. That's a good point. We saw a quite aggressive bounce here, and I feel like indeed you're right that a lot of people FOMO'd into longs here. But those people got stopped out now, you see? Which is why it would be a double mindfuck to say it like that. To pump from here back to Monday high again. At least towards here, you know? And then do this. Make sense? Right. Bitcoin clear for everyone. That's my thoughts, you know, as always. I could be wrong. But I'm long from this area, targeting higher. And then we'll see. If it breaks through this area, yeah, then so be it, you know. Hello from Australia. Hello, welcome. Right, then Ethereum. Let's see. Ever since we were trading here, what was our plan? We marked out last week's low at that point, of course. We said we wanted to see a sweep of last week's low, right? So below here into this key level. There we were going to look for longs. I'm not sure if I still have it. That's where we were looking for longs. Then I entered aggressively, yeah, I remember, before the sweep, as I didn't know if it was gonna give us the sweep. Ended up giving us the sweep, but as you can see, stop loss was safe. That's why I kept it below there, because I could still see that sweep below last week's low. And then reclaim, and then obviously huge pump. We took off half on that pump, a little bit too early. I think it was around these highs that we took off half. But anyways, very nice trade. Held onto half of it in case we were going for 5k plus. But then pretty ugly sweep of all-time highs right there, which got rejected pretty heavily. So yeah, it's a little bit. So yesterday we were still trading here. I was giving it some time. In case this was just a sweep, we would see the reclaim and higher from there. But now what becomes key resistance is gonna be the area that got rejected after the sweep, right? Right there. So as long as we're not above this area, I think, yeah, it's better to be cautious. And to be honest, I think if Ethereum was truly bullish, that we wouldn't have retested this level. Now, of course, if Bitcoin is going to bounce to Monday high, I could see Ethereum do this, but be careful rushing into longs right here, because if that lines up with Bitcoin going for Monday high and Ethereum pumps right into supply up here, that could be a great trap for more downside after that, back towards these lows right here, right? Once again, think about the risk reward for bears. I think it's pretty solid up here, so I'd be cautious for that. So I'm still in that half risk long. This one and Bitcoin long from now are the only trades that I'm in. But know that I'm cautious on Ethereum, and I'm not really targeting all-time highs anymore. So I think if Ethereum pumps in here and Bitcoin pumps to Monday high, I will take more profit on this Ethereum long. I will take profit on the Bitcoin long, not everything, but just to see what happens from there. All right. So once again, what would be the best sign for a breakout a lot higher? Well, a break above this area. If we do that, we pump in here, consolidate, and you see us do something like this, yeah, then it's likely going for a lot higher. Now, high time frame wise, right, because this is lower time frame, so lower time frame, right, I could see us move towards here, these lows, right, because this was the sweep above these highs, local sweep again, so very solid. You see this level lines up beautifully with this area as well. What's the opposite side of this range? From here we went to this low, just like we saw with Bitcoin. If you consider this as the sweep and this as range high, what was the opposite side of this range high? Well, this range low, and as you can see, we swept the highs, got rejected pretty heavily. What came next? This range low. And if it's something similar here, right, where it's just lagging and this was range high, let me mark it out a little bit. This one can go now. A little bit cleaner from the high to the low in one swing. That could mean that the next draw on liquidity is going to be here on Ethereum. And what would I be looking for then? A sweep of these lows again. Everyone calling for, I bet everyone's gonna be calling for 3K from there, but then it dumped right into this former key resistance, turned into support. If you then see a reclaim or even be aggressive, keep your stops right here. And at least for a bounce play, just like with Bitcoin, look for longs and target key areas, key highs, where you could see a rejection again. Is that clear? So high time frames on Ethereum, I'm still very bullish, but does that mean we think that it's going to go up in a straight line? Well, no, for sure not. Weekly, barely a wick to the upside as well. So maybe it doesn't go that low, right? Last weekly candle was massive, swept last week's high, closed very strong in the green. So could turn from here, but then we have our Bitcoin longs that will pay for that anyways, right? But for Ethereum, for me to look for fresh longs, I would want to see a sweep lower here, a reclaim and go from there, or a reclaim of this area. Super clear? Awesome. Zalekis, welcome, man. What's your explanation on the Sunday dump? I think it was in the charts. That's all I'm gonna say. Let me show you this. This is what I tweeted then after this candle, right? Nice pump, but dangerous in my opinion. I'd be careful rushing into anything here. Those lows barely got swept. Feel like there's going to be a ton of liquidity still resting there. And that's what I explained with me thinking that there was going to be a lot of stops still resting there. And yeah, that's why that's what we saw afterwards. So I was right about that one. I didn't short it, I didn't catch the move, but still, at least we didn't FOMO into longs on a pump like that. Is there any bullish scenarios? Man, I'm long. I'm long on Bitcoin and on Ethereum, still half risk, but I wouldn't enter Ethereum longs right here. So maybe Bitcoin and Ethereum bounce from here. Bitcoin towards Monday high up here. Ethereum into that supply up here. Then Ethereum rejects heavily and sells off more than Bitcoin. ETH Bitcoin, as you can see, has been going up quite aggressively, just swept some key highs, so wouldn't be surprised if Ethereum Bitcoin chart sees some downside. That would line up with Ethereum going down more than Bitcoin, so going for these lows. Bitcoin in the meantime does something like this, puts in a higher low right here. Ethereum sweeps the lows right here, and then they both move a lot higher from there. That's just a scenario, you know, but that could be possible in my opinion. But anyways, I think Bitcoin sees a bounce here soon, but we'll see. Simon, what's up? Nice to see you. What are your macro thoughts? I still think we see higher. Although the current monthly candle isn't looking that great. But I do think, yeah, at least Ethereum on the monthly and on the higher time frames is looking better in my opinion than Bitcoin. But I was targeting 130k, so I'm a little bit sad that we didn't hit that. But anyways, I'm gonna be keeping a close eye on Bitcoin and Ethereum, especially the high time frame charts over September, October, November, and December. Those 4 months will be very important in my opinion. If nothing exciting happens during those months, I think that it's done, that we'll see downside from there. Right, some requests, feel free to post some tickers in the chat. Only Blowfin Bybit coins, please. Doggy. Yeah, I'm not too exciting about this one anymore, to be honest. Although if it pumps out of nowhere and it goes very hard. So as you guys know, I still have some spot on this one, but purely watching the charts, like this isn't a good sign. We swept the highs here, rejected, retest those highs, and now selling off again. So what's the opposite side of this range? Well, down here. So I wouldn't be surprised if it tests down here and then from there back up again. Let's see the daily. Yeah, same shit, you know. High, swept, retest, resistance, clean, risk reward for shorts, targeting these lows and these lows next. On the other hand, if we reclaim this, then I think we see some nice upside. But for now, pretty bearish. Link. Link looks pretty damn good. On the weekly, broke above this. Let's see, just swept last week's low. It did take these highs though. That's sad. But clean high there. Daily. Daily looks pretty clean. Yeah, I like this. If you keep your invalidation here, long target up here and then new highs, what would that look like? Yeah, something like this. I like Link. Link has been strong last week as well, so could continue the trend to the upside. Curve. Oof. Nasty dump. Could see a bounce here soon, but overall high time frame, this ain't looking good in my opinion. Nah, I wouldn't trade this. Unless it gets back above here and puts in a higher high like this, then you could trade the breakout out of this consolidation. But for now, I think it just does something like this. So not interested in that one. I'm not even gonna start with this one. I mean, why would you trade something that looks like this? Classic SR, resistance, and just selling off. If it reclaims this, then you could buy the retest and target like up here or something. But for now, I wouldn't touch it. Do you trade gold? Please have a look. Yeah, I do. From time to time. Had a nice bump recently again, right? Oh, it was especially silver. These were still the plans and they haven't changed. I was looking for longs if we would sweep these and see a reclaim, or on the sweep of these range lows, or on the reclaim of this key resistance. And still none of them happened, so still waiting game. But overall, like, I wouldn't be surprised if this breaks out and trades higher. I mean, that's the most likely scenario, in my opinion. Silver, let's see, had a nice weekly close. Rejecting a little again. Probably needs a break above here. Swept these highs. If we see this, buy the retest and still a lot higher. And then platinum is still not really doing anything. So yeah. What's Bitcoin doing? Bouncing. Nice. Sui. Well, this plan played out nicely, but rejected at key resistance and dumped. So now it's looking a lot worse. Let's see. It's not looking too bad, but I would wait for something more exciting than this. Swept the highs into supply. Like if you reclaim this, then it gets exciting. Then you buy the retest and target new all-time highs. But as long as it's trading here, more likely that you see this. So waiting game. What is Zora? This? I don't know about that one, man. Not gonna say anything. See, it's not listed on many exchanges, so... Hype. Hype is a good one. Hype I talked about this morning in the Discord group. We marked out this range, said that it was looking very strong, that we were looking for longs, but unfortunately, what were we looking for? A sweep of 4 hour clean low right there. So I wanted price to dip quickly below here, and then I'd long, keep my invalidation pretty close, right below range mean, and target range highs. Didn't get the entry, so be it. Still think that this trades higher. One of the best looking charts in crypto at the moment, in my opinion. So yeah, I think this breaks out fairly soonish. Love from Pakistan. Welcome, man. BNB, also very good one. But swept the highs quite aggressively and got rejected. Well, got rejected quite aggressively. What would I be looking for here? Strength above this high in order for us to move higher. If we do this and reject, at that point, I think we'll be going for some lows. At least these lows, but possibly all the way down to here. 733. Just a clean weekly range, as you can see. So yeah, that's the plan on BNB. Sol. Still nothing exciting on Solana, but it's like bonking against this resistance for quite a while. That I'm starting to think that it might break above, you know. So this here already was a sweep of this, then swept again, and then swept again, and now it's bouncing again. So once we break above here, right, who knows what's gonna happen. So definitely a good spot hold in my opinion. As for trading, would I long here? No, because there's no risk rewards. I would have to keep my invalidation at least below here, but honestly I could see something like this where we sweep that as well and then move up. So not my kind of setup for margin. If we break above here, then it might be interesting for a breakout long, for example, with invalidation right here. But even then, I just prefer to hold spot on this one for now until I see something cleaner. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are way cleaner. Does any altcoin look good macro? Hype, BNB. Looks good macro. Ethereum, of course. What else? Aave is pretty solid in my opinion, as you can see. We'll do Bird, meme coin that I'm holding. It's been getting some hate as well, but look at the chart, man. I was talking about it that I got it back again at these, was it here or here? I'm not sure. And it's up a ton ever since. And look at the weekly, doesn't look like it's gonna stop anytime soon. So I still think that it trades towards these highs. I'm still holding all. If it clears those highs, then yeah, it's off to all-time highs. But this is by far my favorite meme coin at the moment. What else do we have? Bump, yeah, kind of disappointing. I was looking for a sweep of this here, right? And then look for longs towards these highs. But as you can see, I didn't pull the trigger because I wasn't convinced. Now swept the lows again and look, ugly daily candle. So what I'm looking for now, like if you want to see a sweep of this in here that leads to these highs, what I wanted to see was a quick sweep and then from there straight back inside there and higher from there, not what we're seeing here. If you're seeing this, it gets more likely that it wants to go for the lows. So what I'm looking for now would be new lows, then a reclaim, and then higher from there. ETH pumping, Bitcoin pumping, nice. Hype, sad we didn't catch it, but happens. AVAX has been getting lots of good news too. Yeah, but the chart is just not convincing to me personally. But same thing, resistance, 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 resistance. If it gets above here, who knows, you know? Pengu. Pengu, I'm also not convinced anymore. And why? It's because of the look of this. Like, pumps are getting sold into. And it almost looks like, yeah, this is sort of a floor that's been holding for now, but once it breaks, it will go down as fast as it came up, like this. So, down here, I would be interested. Up here, for me, it's a no. If it sweeps the lows, reclaims, and then breaks market structure, that's where I would look for longs, targeting new highs. But until then, like if it does this and closes down here, yeah, then I think more continuation until we see a reclaim. Frank the Tank, what's up, my man? Fartcoin, I don't like anymore. like look at this on the daily. I don't like the look of it anymore. Where would I like the look of it? Well, above here, or yeah, I think lower down, to be honest. Probably this area. Bitcoin dominance. I personally don't chart Bitcoin dominance, sorry. I never use it. CRO. What's that? Oh damn. Lol. What's causing this? News pump. Then I wouldn't get involved. So the daily flipped green on Bitcoin, right? Weekly still has to, but you get the idea now, right? Using that dump, using that information on the higher time frames, assuming that the candles are going to turn green. The closer we get now, the more likely it's going to happen. So longs are in profit. Well, barely at the moment, but anyways. Now we want that weekly to flip, you know. And then we'll see if the weekly closes strong, closes green. I'll hold onto half of my longs because I will close half for sure above Monday high, targeting 118k. You don't think Altcoin can just range between 0.8 and 1.6? Yeah, why not? I could see that, but like the hype on this was so freaking big and it didn't manage to break out, you know? And now the hype slowed down and it's just been bleeding and making new lows after new lows that I'm starting to think, yeah, I don't know. Is it really going to have the strength to break out here? I don't know. Near. I mean, I don't like this. No strength at all. Like huge run, then a second pump, lower high, all the way down. Big ass accumulation here. Then saw some upside, but resulted in just bleeding down again and now ranging down here. So not interested. Do you believe some alts can go up while others go down? Yes, of course, always. But I would say it will be more like whenever Bitcoin and Ethereum go up, that some altcoins will outperform those, and some altcoins are just gonna stay sideways until Bitcoin and Ethereum retrace a little bit again, and then those alts are gonna die. The ones that had been just ranging, gonna take another leg down, and then once Ethereum and Bitcoin bounce again, they're gonna range again. If they retrace, they're gonna die again, you see? While some altcoins might have more like the pattern that Bitcoin and Ethereum have. That's kind of what we've been seeing on BNB, for example, on Hype, for example, Ethereum, of course. All right, gonna end the stream here. I hope you all enjoyed. Mostly the Bitcoin and Ethereum plans were very clear at the start, so I hope you liked it. If you missed that part, you can always rewatch the stream after I end it. Thanks for joining. It was a nice one. We had a lot of people. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my YouTube, and I'll see you in the Discord. Bye.